Welcome to our sanctuary of health and tranquility. It is truly a joy to have you here with me today. I want you to take a moment, just a brief moment, to settle in. Imagine that we are sitting together in a comfortable, sun-drenched living room. The window is slightly open, letting in a gentle breeze that carries the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. You are holding a warm cup of your favorite herbal tea, perhaps a soothing chamomile or a fragrant mint, and the steam is rising in soft, curling ribbons. There is no rush here. There are no deadlines, no ringing phones, no urgent demands on your time. For the next little while, the world outside can wait. We are just two old friends having a sincere, heart-to-heart conversation about the most precious thing we possess, the vessel that carries us through this beautiful journey of life. Have you ever paused to listen to the quiet language of your body? As the years gracefully accumulate, adding silver to our hair and wisdom to our eyes, our bodies begin to whisper to us. Sometimes these whispers are subtle, a little stiffness in the joints when we first step out of bed in the morning, or perhaps a moment where a name or a word sits on the tip of the tongue but refuses to jump off. We often brush these moments aside, thinking they are just the inevitable price of admission for growing older. But sometimes the whispers become louder. You might feel a heaviness in your chest after a meal that used to give you no trouble. You might feel a profound sense of fatigue in the afternoon, a tiredness that sleep simply doesn't seem to wash away. We tend to think of our bodies as machines that are slowly wearing out, like an old car with high mileage. But I want to offer you a different perspective today. What if your body is not a machine, but a garden? Think of your body as a lush, vibrant garden. When a garden begins to look withered, when the leaves turn brown and the soil becomes dry and cracked, we don't say the garden is broken, we say it is thirsty. We say it needs nourishment. We understand that the conditions have changed and we must adapt our care. If the soil in your garden becomes hard and compacted, the water cannot reach the roots no matter how much it rains. Today, we are going to talk about how to till that soil, how to bring the elasticity, the flow, and the bloom back to your inner landscape. We are going to explore how to turn those loud complaints of the body back into a hum of contented energy. Our topic today centers around a humble gift from nature that you likely already have sitting in your kitchen pantry right now. It is brown, crinkly, and shaped in a very peculiar way. Yes, we are talking about the walnut.
But I must ask you, please, do not click away thinking, oh, I know about walnuts, they are good for me. You see, while you may know the name, most of us have forgotten the story. Most people believe they are doing something wonderful for their health by eating walnuts, but in reality, they are keeping the true potential of this incredible nut locked away in a safe that they do not have the key for. There is a secret, a very specific, ancient way to unlock the treasure chest inside the walnut. If you were just eating them straight from the bag, raw and dry, you might be missing out on nearly all the benefits. In fact, you might even be burdening your digestion without realizing it. We are going to explore how to transform this common food into a powerhouse of vitality for your arteries, your brain, and your heart. But to understand the solution, we must first deeply understand what we are nurturing. Let us speak for a moment about the rivers of life that flow within you, your arteries. I want you to close your eyes for a second and visualize the miles and miles of blood vessels that weave through your body. When we are young, in the spring of our lives, these vessels are like new, high-quality rubber hoses. They are flexible, soft, and elastic. They expand and contract with every single beat of your heart, allowing the blood, the river of life, to flow effortlessly to every toe, every fingertip, and every corner of your brain. This flexibility is the hallmark of youth. But as we move into the autumn of our lives, and often due to the modern foods we have been consuming for decades, these vessels can change. They can become like old garden hoses left out in the baking summer sun for too long. They become stiff, they become rigid, they lose that beautiful elasticity. When the arteries become stiff, The heart, our faithful drum, has to work much harder. It has to push with more force to get the blood through these rigid pipes. This is often the silent beginning of high blood pressure. But it goes deeper than just stiffness. The inner lining of your arteries, a layer so thin and delicate it is called the endothelium, should be as smooth as silk. It should be like a polished slide. But inflammation, stress, and sugar act like sandpaper, scratching and irritating this silky lining. This irritation is what signals the body to send cholesterol to patch the damage, leading to what we know as plaque. So you see, the goal is not just to lower things. The goal is to soothe, to heal, and to restore that silkiness. Now I want to share a story with you. A story about a dear friend of mine. Let's call him Uncle Arthur. Arthur was a man who loved life, a man with a hearty laugh and a twinkle in his eye. But as he entered his early 60s, that light began to dim.
He felt heavy. He told me he felt like he was walking through water. His doctor told him his blood pressure was creeping up into the danger zone and that his circulation was poor. His hands were always cold. Arthur, being a proactive man who didn't want to rely solely on pills, read in a magazine that walnuts were a superfood for the heart. So he did what many of us would do. He went to the wholesale store and bought a giant 2-pound bag of raw shelled walnuts. Arthur was determined. Every evening, while watching the news, he would eat a large handful of these dry walnuts. He chewed them diligently, thinking he was scrubbing his arteries clean. He thought he was doing the absolute best thing for his body. But after a month, he came to my house, sat down heavily in the armchair, and sighed. He said, "I don't understand. I feel bloated. My stomach hurts after I eat them. And honestly, I don't feel any more energetic. In fact, I feel sluggish and my brain feels foggy." Arthur was disheartened. He felt betrayed by the healthy advice he had read. Arthur was making a classic mistake, one that millions of well-meaning people make every single day. He was treating a powerful, biologically complex ingredient as a simple snack, ignoring the biology of the seed itself. You see, a walnut is not just a piece of food, it is a seed. It is a dormant, living thing. And nature is incredibly clever. Nature does not want the seed to sprout just anywhere or at the wrong time. Nature wants that walnut to survive the harsh winter, to survive being buried in the ground until the conditions are perfect for it to become a mighty tree. So, nature covers the walnut in a protective shield, a chemical coating of phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors. This shield is designed to be tough. It is designed to prevent the nut from being digested easily by predators, including us. It locks the nutrients, the minerals like zinc, magnesium, and calcium inside the seed, so they are preserved for the future tree. When Arthur ate those raw, dry walnuts, his body was fighting against that shield. He wasn't absorbing the precious minerals. They were bound up tight. Furthermore, the enzyme inhibitors were neutralizing his own digestive enzymes, causing that heavy, bloated feeling in his stomach. He was eating the calorie, yes, but he was starving of the nutrition. He was creating a battle in his gut instead of a healing sanctuary. This brings us to the very core of our conversation today. We need to move from simply eating to nourishing. We need to learn the language of the body and the language of nature. When we prepare our food correctly, we are signaling to our body that it is safe to absorb, safe to heal. We are unlocking the door.
The walnut, when activated correctly, transitions from a hard, indigestible seed into one of the most potent allies for your endothelium. Let's go back to that silky inner lining, the endothelium. When that lining is healthy and happy, it produces a magical, invisible gas called nitric oxide. I want you to remember this name, nitric oxide. Think of it as the master traffic controller of your blood. It sends a signal to the vessel walls to relax, to open up, to widen. When the vessels widen, the pressure drops naturally. The blood flows freely, carrying oxygen and nutrients to your tired muscles, your cold hands, and your foggy brain.
Walnuts are rich in the precursors for this, specifically an amino acid called L-arginine, and they are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, ALA. But, and this is the crucial but, if that chemical shield is still up, if the phytic acid is blocking the way, you aren't getting the full benefit of these precursors. You are knocking on a locked door. I am so curious, my friends, and I would love for you to share this with me in the comments below. How have you been eating your nuts and seeds all these years? Do you grab a handful straight from the bag? Do you prefer them roasted and salted? Or perhaps you have already heard of the method we are about to discuss. Please write to me. I read your stories and it helps me understand where we are all starting from. There is absolutely no judgment here, only a shared desire to learn and grow better together. Have you ever noticed that heavy feeling after eating nuts? Tell me about it. Now, let us return to the invisible enemy that holds us back. It is not just the phytic acid in the nut, it is the environment in which we live. The enemy is the chronic, low-level inflammation caused by the modern diet. We are constantly bombarded by processed vegetable oils, hidden sugars, and the stress of the 24-hour news cycle. These things act like a constant irritant. Imagine rubbing sandpaper on your skin every day. Eventually, it becomes red, raw, and inflamed. That is what is happening inside the arteries. The body, in its infinite wisdom, attempts to heal this rawness by putting down a patch. That patch is cholesterol. So the cholesterol isn't the villain we have been led to believe it is the firefighter trying to put out the fire of inflammation. To truly heal, we don't just want to suppress the firefighter, we want to stop the fire. We want to soothe the walls of the arteries so they don't need patching in the first place. This is where the activated walnut enters the stage as a soothing balm, a cooling compress for your inflamed system. But we must prepare it with the respect it deserves. We are going to talk about the golden protocol of soaking. This is not a new internet fad. This is ancient wisdom that our ancestors understood intuitively. In traditional cultures all over the world, people soaked their grains, their beans, and their nuts before cooking them. They didn't have microscopes to see phytic acid, but they knew that water was the key to unlocking life. They knew that a dry seed was a sleeping seed, and a wet seed was a waking seed. Here is the secret that changed everything for my friend Arthur, and it can change things for you too. It is simpler than cooking a meal, simpler than going to the pharmacy, yet more powerful than many expensive supplements. It requires only 3 things: walnuts, water, and time. I want you to visualize this ritual. Imagine it is evening time. The house is quiet. You are cleaning up the kitchen, getting ready to wind down for the night. You take a glass bowl. Glass is always better than plastic, as we want purity and no chemical leaching. You take a handful of high-quality organic walnuts. Look at them for a moment. They look like little brains, don't they? That is nature's signature, a visual clue that they are designed to nourish your nervous system. Place them gently in the bowl. Now pour filtered water over them. Don't be stingy with the water. Pour plenty, because these nuts are going to drink. They're going to swell. They're going to wake up from their long slumber. Add a pinch of high-quality sea salt to this water. Why salt? The salt acts as a catalyst. It mimics the salinity of the earth, helping to break down those enzyme inhibitors we spoke of earlier. It helps to activate the enzymes within the nut itself. Now, cover the bowl with a clean cloth or a paper towel, allowing it to breathe but keeping the dust out. Leave it on your counter. Go to sleep. Rest. Let your body repair itself. While you are dreaming, a biological miracle is happening in that bowl on your kitchen counter. The water is tricking the walnut into thinking it has been planted in moist, fertile soil. The life force of the nut is activating. The phytic acid, that protective shield, is leaching out into the water. The dense, hard-to-digest proteins are breaking down into simpler amino acids. The mineral binding is loosening, making the zinc, magnesium, and iron bioavailable, meaning your body can actually grab them and use them. When you wake up in the morning feeling the potential of a new day, go to the bowl. Look at the water. It will likely be brown, murky, perhaps a little slimy or frothy. Do not be alarmed. Be happy.
That murkiness is the stuff you didn't want in your stomach. That is the indigestion, the gas, the nutrient blockers leaving the nut.
Now, take the walnuts to the sink and rinse them thoroughly. Wash away that brown water. Rinse them under cold running water until the water runs clear and sparkles. What you have in your hand now is a living food. If you bite into it, you will notice it is no longer hard, waxy, and chalky. It is crisp, tender, almost buttery. It has a sweetness that was hidden before. It tastes like a fresh walnut picked straight from the tree during the harvest. This walnut is now ready to heal you. It is no longer a seed protecting itself. It is a gift offering itself. But we can go a step further. We want to create a synergy in your body. We want to create a team of nutrients working together. In the morning, perhaps as part of your breakfast, take 3 or 4 of these activated walnuts, but don't just eat them alone. Let's pair them with something that enhances their effect. I recommend a small piece of dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa, or perhaps a handful of blueberries or raspberries. Why this combination? Because nature loves teamwork. The flavonoids in the berries or the dark chocolate work hand in hand with the healthy fats in the walnut. It is a beautiful dance. The fats help you absorb the fat-soluble antioxidants from the chocolate and berries, and the antioxidants protect the delicate omega-3 fats from oxidizing in your system. By eating them together, you are multiplying the benefit. You are creating a super meal that fights inflammation, protects the brain, and soothes the arteries all at once. Of course, dear friends, while we speak of nature's pantry with such enthusiasm and hope, I must gently remind you of something very important. We are talking about food, about lifestyle, about the foundations of health. This advice is supportive. It is meant to work alongside the wisdom of your medical team. If you are on blood thinners, have kidney issues, or have specific medical conditions, always show respect to your doctor's advice. We are not replacing medicine. We are building a body that is stronger, more resilient, and perhaps requires less intervention over time. We are partners in your journey, not the commanders of it. Always listen to the professional advice that is tailored to your specific history. Let's go back to the feeling of the garden. Imagine that by eating these activated walnuts every day, you are sending a gentle, nourishing rain to the dried-out soil of your arteries. It won't happen overnight. You didn't get stiff in a day, and you won't become flexible in a day. Nature does not rush, yet everything is accomplished. Consistency is the key. It is the small, daily act of love that transforms us. It is the ritual of soaking the nuts every night that tells your subconscious mind, I am worth caring for.
Think about the brain for a moment longer. We mentioned the shape of the walnut, the doctrine of signatures that ancient healers believed in, that a plant looks like the part of the body it heals. The omega-3 fats in these activated nuts are crucial for the myelin sheath. Think of the myelin sheath as the insulation around the electrical wires of your nerves. If that insulation is frayed, the signal gets lost. That is brain fog. That is the forgetfulness. By soaking the nuts, you have pre-digested them. You have done the hard work in the bowl, so your liver and pancreas don't have to struggle. You are giving your body a gift of ease, allowing it to use its energy for repairing that insulation, sharpening your focus, and clearing the fog. And there is another benefit we often overlook, one that is so important for maintaining a healthy weight as we age: satiety. When you eat empty carbohydrates, toast, sugary cereals, or instant oatmeal, your blood sugar spikes up high and then crashes down low. You feel hungry again in 2 hours. You look for a snack. It becomes a roller coaster of energy highs and lows. But these activated walnuts, they burn slow and steady, like a good dense log on a winter fire. They keep your energy stable. You won't have that mid-morning crash where you feel the need to nap. You will feel sustained, grounded, and capable. I want to address a question that often comes up in the comments, because I know some of you are thinking it. But I like the crunch. Can I dry them again?
Yes, you can. If you prefer the crunch of a dry nut over the tender crispness of a wet one, you can dehydrate them. But, and this is key, you must do it at a very low temperature. If you have a dehydrator, set it to less than 115 degrees Fahrenheit. If you use an oven, set it to the lowest possible setting, perhaps with the door cracked open. You want to dry them out without cooking them. If you roast them at high heat, you damage the delicate oils, turning the good fats into bad fats. Keep them raw. Keep them living. Once dried, they will be incredibly crunchy, even crunchier than before, and much lighter. You can store them in the refrigerator for a few days, ready to be sprinkled on your salad, your oatmeal, or just eaten as a mindful snack. Let's talk about the invisible enemy one more time before we conclude. The enemy is not just the food. The enemy is habit. The enemy is doing things the way we have always done them, simply because it is easy. It is easy to grab a bag of roasted, salted, processed nuts from the gas station or the supermarket checkout aisle. It is easy to eat bread and jam for breakfast because it takes no thought. But these easy choices accumulate. They stack up day after day, year after year, into a hard life of stiffness, fatigue, and medication. The golden protocol of soaking requires a tiny bit of planning. It asks you to think about your tomorrow self tonight. When you put those nuts in the water, you are making a promise to yourself. Tomorrow, I will nourish myself. That psychological shift is just as powerful as the nutrition itself. It breaks the cycle of neglect. I want to ask you another question, and please be honest in the comments. I read them all. What is the one health hurdle that bothers you the most right now? Is it the blood pressure numbers that won't budge? Is it the joint pain that stops you from gardening? Is it the worry about your memory? Write it down. When we write things down, we take the power away from the fear and turn it into a problem to be solved. And often, the solution is simpler than we think. It starts with what we put on our spoon. It starts with the water and the seed. So here is your challenge for this week. I invite you to join me in this small experiment. Buy a bag of high-quality raw walnuts. Find a beautiful glass bowl that makes you smile when you see it. Make the soaking a ritual. Do it with intention. Say a little thank you to the water and the nut for the nourishment they will provide. Observe how you feel after 3 days, after a week. Do you feel lighter after eating? Is your digestion quieter? Do you have a bit more mental clarity? Do you feel less puffy? My neighbor, the one I mentioned earlier, Uncle Arthur, he stuck with it. He didn't just stop at walnuts. He started soaking his almonds and his pumpkin seeds, too. He started walking a little more, energized by the better fuel he was putting in his tank. 6 months later, he told me that his doctor was pleasantly surprised at his checkup. His numbers were better, his blood pressure had stabilized, but more importantly, Arthur felt better. He had his spark back. He wasn't fighting his body anymore. He was working with it. He was gardening again. And that is what I want for you. I want you to have your spark back. We are not fighting a war against aging. We are simply learning to dance with it. We are learning to provide the right fuel for the journey. The walnut is a humble teacher. It teaches us that sometimes we have to soften our hard shell to let the goodness out. It teaches us that patience, waiting for the soak, brings the greatest rewards. It teaches us that nature has provided everything we need if only we take the time to understand how to use it. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for inviting me into your home and giving me your time. Time is the one thing we cannot get back, and I am honored you spent yours with me. I hope this conversation has given you not just information, but inspiration. You have the power to change how you feel. It is not too late. The body is incredibly forgiving if we just give it the right tools and a little bit of love. If you found value in our chat today, if you feel a little more hopeful, please consider sharing this video with a friend or a family member who might need this message. Perhaps send it to someone who you know loves their walnuts but might be eating them the hard way. Let's spread this ripple of health together. Let's help each other age with grace and vitality. And please, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Think of it not as a subscription, but as joining a community of friends looking out for one another. Click that bell icon so you know when I come back to visit next time. We have so many more secrets of nature to explore, so many more simple adjustments that can bring vitality back to your years. We will talk about spices, about breathing, about sleep. There is so much to share. Until next time, take care of your garden, water your soil, nourish your roots. And remember, the most important conversation you have is the one between you and your body. Listen to it with love. Be well, my friends. I will see you very soon.